Yeah, had had quite an experience 2 days ago.
Did you?
Hmm.
A good experience?
No.
Oh, that's no good. Well, what's happened?
Michael's son has informed us that he's taking back the car that he lent us when we arrived in Australia.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. So
So you hear nothing from him for ages, and then he decides.
he's just every now and again he throws something at us, that and according to Sue, it'll continue like that. There'll always be something. He threatened us before, saying that he signed for our visa, and then he stopped the vet's insurance for the dogs, and we had to cough up $1,500 for an operation just recently. We don't have that sort of money, and so there's always is something, and he could withdraw his signature on the parent visa. I don't know. And which is probably his next thing to do, and so it upsets Sue immensely.
I think that would be a little bit more complex, wouldn't it? I would have thought, because I mean, how do you just unilaterally withdraw something like that?
Well, he's got a reason. He's got divorced. You see, he no longer needs them. He's also disowned his children, totally.
Yeah, but you and Sue haven't.
No, we haven't. And he's also not paying maintenance, which he should be. So to his ex, so she's going to have it deducted from his salary. But I don't know how easy that is in this country. In South Africa, you can get put in jail for not paying maintenance.
Yeah, same here.
Oh, can you?
Yeah,
it's very serious in South Africa.
I mean, I don't think she'll have too much trouble at all, to be honest with you.
But, but he doesn't just not pay. He then packs it with a whole lot of lies, okay? And he gives his reasons for not paying, that she's not a good mother, and she's doing this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah, I don't think it's conditional, though. I think maintenance is just maintenance. You just pay it.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything about reasons associated with it. So.
Well, he's trying to have the children taken away and put into a home. Yeah. That's nasty. Anyway, that was the experience. But anyway, how's your week been?
Yeah, pretty quiet, I think. Yeah, I mean, it's been busy at work and lots of angry people as usual, but, for me personally, it's been pretty quiet.
Yeah. You have a company due coming up soon, eh?
Next Saturday, I think it is. Yeah.
Those 5 things that I sent you on the chat, okay. I've got to select 2 new classes for January, and I've got to come up with suggestions for the 2 new classes, and I've created. I mean, I could double that number quite easily, but I decided that I'm going to move towards a number to see, if that helps. So rather than 7, which every Tom, Dick, and Harry does 7. Okay, I thought I'll do 6 because Moya says it's a God number. So okay, so of those 5 you see there, which would you, as Don Jones, be inclined to read or go to class, or
probably the first one.
Okay.
The first or the last, either one of those. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, fair enough.
So what were you looking for?
No, Sue, I've asked her. She said the first two. Okay.
The first two.
Yeah, and then I've also just before I phoned you now, is I put it onto the two guides in East Australia. Okay, that we like form a team. I said, which would you choose? Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll wait and see. They will take it probably the rest of the evening to come back, and we'll just see as a matter of interest. I can do any of them. Okay, that's not a problem. You know, the richest people and the celebrity houses are the type of. It's certainly not my type of thing, but I've come up with the idea, and because it's a type of thing the learners, you know, would enjoy. You know, they like entertainment. You know,
that's true.
And
if they're looking to be entertained, I suppose.
Yeah, and that's what they are. You know, that's you know, until they start charging for the lessons, which is going to be imminent, probably before the end of January. They're going to start charging. They're going to give a certain number of the lessons away, and then people are going to have to pay after that. I'm not sure what the rules are going to be, but already they're showing the prices on each and every lesson, but crossed out. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So they've got everything there waiting. So we'll wait and see. The other interesting thing that they've got on the classes, you know, you go onto the getsetup.io now, and there's on the front page on the menu is a menu that says guides, and you go to those guides, and they are all the Get Set Up guides. I'm not sure if I don't think the Indians are there. I think they probably have a different website. I haven't studied it, but anyway, and mine is sorry, no, not guides. They've got another menu with guides, so that is new. But the other one is called series. Okay, so they try and encourage the guides to do a series of something. Okay, and
that's a good idea.
Yeah, it is, and but you know, we were told like just before we sent our classes in for December, and it was just too late for us to think about it. But anyway, but the interesting thing is, if you had to go onto that page, you would see that under series, where they've got the guides' names or technologies. No, they've got technologies like that. Say, you know, technology which is, you know, all the apps and things on your cell phone, and so on. And then you've got health and wellness, and everybody does a health and wellness class, and they've got it where they've put a few together and say with one click you can book all of those. Okay, and they're also having a health competition, so that you know, do these wellness classes and then report at the end or something. And but when I'm the only guide on that series that says that shows the picture of every guide, and then it shows a picture of me, and it says "Learn with Michael." Now, and then you click on it, and a whole lot of my classes underneath there, just about all of them. And I thought, now that's strange. That perhaps do they perceive me, or whoever puts that up, as just somebody who doesn't entertain, just teaches people? I don't know. Do they see learning as a series of classes? I don't know. I'm waiting for a one-on-one meeting to get an explanation for that one. But I spent a lot this afternoon just thinking about January, because I'm up to date with my work, which is unusual for now. For this time, usually on a Sunday, I usually got something to do, you know, after I'm finished talking to you. But now I've got nothing to do, so I can actually relax and do something. But yeah, so I want to think about. So I've just renamed a lot of my classes from December to 6 something. Not these. These are new classes that I'm looking here, but I've changed things like I've got the psychological value of plants, which hasn't been well attended right through since I started it in November. So I've renamed that to 6 indoor plants with health benefits.
Yeah.
So we'll see. So I've done things like that.
I think that's a good idea. It's a good idea.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd read too much into that, but how they've labelled you. But anyway, let's go in with an open mind and just see. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It was just interesting.
Do some of the guides just do the same stuff over and over and over? Do they?
Yeah, the American ones do.
Do they?
Yeah. Oh my goodness, there's one that I think probably for 5 months has been doing the same class, same title, everything. But otherwise, I don't know if some of them change. We don't have a lot of interact. We have very little. Sue has made friends with one and interacts with them outside of Get Set Up structures, and so she gets that information. But I don't. So I'm not really sure what's going on their side.
Interesting. Yeah. So when do you think that the change will come about in terms of the charging for the classes? Do you reckon that'll be like in January?
I think it'll be probably sometime in January. I would guess more towards the end of January.
And what's their fee structure?
It's it varies, but it's around about $5 a class. Okay.
I suppose it's still not too bad.
So yeah, but it still will be. There will still be there'll still be a lot of free ones, but I think it's got something to do. Sorry, I mean, just have a drink of water. I think it's got something to do with these new contracts that they've signed with, like state departments and things like that. So when let's say like the New York State, for example, their aged department or something sponsors Get Set Up, they want some benefits exclusively for their state.
Okay. Yeah.
And so go with the other states as well. So I would imagine.
So they don't charge for residents of that state, or is that how?
The residents of that state must get a benefit. Okay, in other words, they want to pay for that residents. So one way of doing it is to select a certain number of classes, and those people get them for free, or when they log in. The classes are shown for free, okay?
Yeah.
And anybody else who logs in then sees the paid class. So it's probably got something to do with that.
So do they pay as they go? Is that how it works? Like they log in and then have to put credit card details in or something? Or?
No. What I see, I mean, remember it hasn't come into practice yet, but what I can see from the web pages that are already sort of not up, but they're there, you can see them. They're not operative in the, is that you can have different options. One option is you can only attend free classes, okay? And then you're going to be limited to maybe 5 or 10 free classes a month, okay?
Yeah.
Then there is like a monthly fee, whatever it's going to be, and you can then attend so many classes in a month for that fee. And then there's looks like an annual fee where everything's open. You pay once a year, and then you can attend all classes, any classes, often as you like.
Right.
So, yeah. So I'm not sure how good their platform is and so on, but
so is this all on the new platform that they've been working on for some time? Okay.
Yeah, for the whole time I've been around, in fact, they've been working on it, and they've been introducing things regularly. The latest is that people don't have to go into Zoom to watch a class now.
Oh, okay.
If they want to interact and talk to the guide, then they would have to go into the Zoom class. Otherwise, they've created they call it the lounge. You can go in there and you can listen to the entire class, and you can chat on the chat page to other people in the class, but you can't chat to the guide, and but they can watch the whole class from there, and that's becoming quite popular. We get told how many people were in the lounge, okay, and how many people in the class officially, and so yeah. So I would imagine that's going to progress to where they do away with Zoom, and have their own platform for those sort of lessons.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, I know that they were planning to do that when I first joined them. A year ago, they were talking about it, but they didn't. They did say it wasn't imminent. A year ago, and they've employed a lot more like programmers and things like that, particularly from Australia, strangely enough.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think they're still. Yeah, it is, but there are rumors to say that some of the founders actually want to come and live in Australia.
Okay.
And but whether it's rumors or whether it's fact, it perhaps makes sense that they're putting up quite a technical field in Australia, technical department in Australia. If they were coming over here, so they'd have something to manage, sort of physically as well as online.
I think that's one of the entry pathways, isn't it? An investment pathway.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Bought myself a little. We've now got a room back that the man was sleeping in when he was here with us.
Yeah.
And so Sue and I are now calling that our fun room. So we just bought ourselves a sort of meter square, each of us 2 meter square solid maple tables.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and they look so good. They look so good in the room, and the idea is that I want to perhaps do some painting again, and I can just leave things lying there for as long as I want to. It's not, and so yeah, so that's a big positive that's come out of it. And the other room,
I've been experimenting with a bit of stuff. They had a whole bunch of timber offcuts there at work, and they sort of said, "Oh, just take some of them and just see if you can do something with them." So I've just been sort of experimenting a bit. So I don't know whether you can see that or not.
Okay, yes, I can see it clearly. What is it?
So this is just an old scrap piece of redwood. So it's got really nice grain and patination in it. So it's probably a bit hard to see on the screen. But it's got a couple of big cracks in it. So what I thought I'd do is I've just used some black leather lace.
Right.
It doesn't. It's not as if it's going to break apart, but it's just sort of, I don't know, just a creative expression. So I've done one there. I've got another one to do down. There's a crack down here as well.
Right, right.
And then I thought I'd probably just carve out maybe a Japanese symbol or something and put a couple on there and just use it as a wall hanging or something like that. So
Right, okay.
I don't know.
I love pieces of wood like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit random, but it's got a bit of a story to tell. So I thought I'd do something a bit creative. So yeah.
That's great. That's great.
I don't know whether anyone else will like it, but anyway.
Does that matter?
No, it doesn't really matter at all. No.
Tell me something about maple. I mean, is it an Australian wood or is it a?
It comes from a few different countries.
Is it?
Yeah, normally it's a harder wood, dark, usually.
Yeah, it is dark. Yeah, or darker. Yeah,
Dark,
yeah.
yeah. There's an American version called rock maple, but it's quite a blonde timber, but a very, very dense timber. But generally, yeah, it's usually a a sort of a light to medium brown color. Usually.
Yeah. There's a little bit on the dark side. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that could be a stain as well. It's been varnished.
Yeah, although generally, as a broad rule of thumb, the darker the timber, the harder the wood.
Okay.
So like some of the hardest woods around is like ebony,
Sure.
on guitar frets and so on. And as a general rule, the lighter the timber, the softer it is. Generally.
Yeah, like pine. Yeah.
Yeah. And even like balsa, it's quite a.
Oh, of course, yes. Yeah, balsa.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
So that's sort of the broad rule. I mean, there's always exceptions, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it came in pieces in a box, obviously, and that box was heavy.
Was yeah.
Yeah.
So is it solid timber or is it like veneer or?
No, it's not veneer. It's solid.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, nice.
Yeah. They had it on a sale, and they weren't going to get any more in, and it was just like, look, we went there just to sort of browse. We weren't going to buy, and we just thought, well, we need something for the room. Let's just look around. And this hit us in the face, and I resonated with it straight away. It was just, it was great, and also it's very well made as well. Often with some of these places, it's just like a quick bolt or a quick screw or something, and that's it. And but this is now dovetails very nicely, and there are bolts and screws and things, but everything fits so nicely together in a solid way before you put any screws in.
Yeah.
That's lovely. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Mm.
So you won't know yourself once you have that room. You'll be able to create to your heart's content. So
I've just got to streamline, like I'm doing each month now with my Get setup. I need to give myself time. Okay, now this is probably one of the first times that I've reached this time on a Sunday where I haven't still had to do something, or sometimes I get, and now what happens is, tomorrow morning, my usual time getting up is around 5 or just before 5. And then, classes either start at 9, 8 or 7. And so before that now, I do research and look up. So by the time the end of the week comes, let's say Friday night comes, I'm hoping to be finished everything for the following week. And then I can do gardening and painting and microgreen growing and things like that over the weekends. Then I've got my life back properly.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's happening. It's moving in that direction.
No, that's really good.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me what. Obviously, because of the circumstances that Sue and I found ourselves in now in the last day, we've been looking at second-hand motor cars online, and what is Hyundai like here as a is it a car that there are spares very available? Is it well sold? Is it
Yeah, very much so now. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, it just depends. Like, what are you looking at? Like a little i20 or i30 or something like that, are you? Or
Yeah, sort of a 12 or 1500, you know, and it's just to occasionally go out for a cup of coffee and maybe occasionally to go away for a weekend close by here in WA. Otherwise, you know, we would never use it on a daily basis. It'd probably be once a week, you know. And also, you know, because we also live in a wild area, one of the things that was brought up by Leanne, the daughter-in-law, said, you know, you live in a very big forested and parked area, you know, you might have to get out fast if there's a fire, and you've got dogs, okay, so you've got to get dogs and your whatever position out quickly. And if you don't have a car, because we thought, well, maybe we should just use Uber whenever we want something, but when it comes to a crisis, it might be a problem. But anyway, but she's going to help us, so that's also nice. Okay.
What sort of car have you got at the moment?
Same sort of thing, a 1200 Kia.
Kia.
Yeah. And it's got lots of bumps in it. It's long overdue a service, because historically the son said he was going to service it. He was going to see it to that would be his responsibility and a contribution towards us being here and so on. Yeah, I mean, even when there were come bumps in it, he was going to have the insurance fix it up, but these things never materialized. And so, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, they're quite a popular car now. You know, the Hyundai, and yeah, the parts and stuff is reasonably available for it, I would have thought. So
good. Yeah, because we've seen a one online, and we thought, you know, especially now that we've got the support of Leanne, that we'll probably go for something like that, because Michael is likely to suddenly pitch up in the middle of the night and take the car, you know. And you know, he has garage keys, he has motor car keys, and
yeah, it's quite spiteful though, isn't it? Just the same.
Yeah, that's a polite word, that.
Because it doesn't sound like he's got a need for one.
No, he doesn't. He you know, he drives a company car, and he also has his private car. Okay. But it's his mental condition. You know, he's got a disease, and he got it from his father apparently, and that's it. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So did you end up doing your Christmas session? You know, you said
I've done the first of they come each week. Yeah, I did the there were a couple of them. Okay, one was the legend of Christmas. Okay, I think we were talking about that one when we chatted on Wednesday, and people were totally really unaware of the sort of background that I gave them and how it all came out to be Father Christmas eventually. So yeah, that one went right. I've got to do it a few more times before the end of December, and then I did the other one, which was spirituality with regards to Christmas. That's coming out for the first time tomorrow. Okay, so
yeah, I shot an email through to you. I don't know whether you saw it.
Yes, I did. Yes, thank you very much.
I think it was about Advent, I think, mainly. So
yeah.
But when I just saw it, I thought, oh, that might be useful or something.
Yeah, it's very kind of you. Thank you. All that sort of information is very useful, because some of it I sort of use directly. Others I sort of read it and have more knowledge in my own mind to add on an impromptu type basis with the class. So thank you very much. You always send anything like that you come across, and Sue does the same to me. She sends me odd things that she just thinks I should have a look at, and so please feel free to continue doing that. I appreciate it.
Okay, no problem at all.
Okay. Yeah.
I've just about finished my audio book. The hierarchy.
Okay, yes.
It's been a bit of a marathon. I think the length of it was something like 60 hours or something of reading.
Yeah.
So
Yes, you seem to have been going on for a long, long time.
Yeah. So I've just about finished it. So
okay.
It's really interesting. Like I sort of reflect on him as an author. He's he's passed now, but he was a architect.
Okay.
And so it sort of got me thinking that obviously as an architect, you're very much into like spatial, sciences and those sorts of things. So, and that sort of very strongly influenced in a lot of his work, but the whole idea of spatial sciences and so on. But the other piece, which I also thought was interesting, is his ability to talk about existence in terms of, well, in the duality in the dualistic world, how for something to exist, it basically almost needs an opposite, even though there is no such thing as an opposite, but it needs something at a different end of a spectrum.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
So if it doesn't have that, so like you were saying, well, cold can't be cold unless there's hot. So cold can't exist unless there's hot. And then he said, so good can't exist unless there's bad.
Yeah.
And you can
in a three-dimensional world, that is.
Yeah. And then you can ladder that up and say, okay, well, in a three-dimensional world, or maybe even outside of that, perhaps, I don't know, that angels can't exist without demons. And perhaps the ultimate could be that God can't exist without the devil. In that sort of dualistic thinking.
Yeah.
There is transcendence beyond that, where clearly the duality evaporates.
Yes, it does. I'm going to say it's only really in a dimension where there is duality. Okay? In the spiritual domains, there is no duality.
No, that's right. That's right. Yeah. And he also talks a lot about time as well. And I found it useful in one sense to help clarify my own thinking. Like, the way, a lot of particularly Eastern faiths, they talk about, being in the present moment.
Yeah.
And a lot of people sort of struggle with that. It's like, well, what does it actually mean? And I think if you think about it, is that like everything in our experience, in terms of a stimulus, like it could be like this conversation or whatever, is like every word you speak, I hear it in the past.
Yeah.
Because that's just
sure
the physicality sort of thing. But once again, there's an opportunity to stop, and that stopping, which is from the source, enables you to be in the present moment. But you can only do that as an individual. You can't do it outside of that.
So what's the opposite of past then? What is the balancing? What's the duality of past?
Future.
Okay.
So something that's and past is such a subjective thing. Like I think I mentioned to you once before. Like we could see, something happening in the heavens. Like a star exploding or something like that. Which where it is could be, millions of years ago, but it's happening right now here. So, and that's the paradox of time as well, and space for that matter. So and it's sort of those sorts of dimensions, which, because his an important part of his training was architecture. You can sort of see how thinking deeply about those elements, that training has sort of shaped some of that thinking, so.
So have you I don't know what the right word is. Have you benefited? Have you gained knowledge?
Oh, absolutely,
from that book?
Yeah, no, definitely, yeah, definitely a lot of insight. But he's a very practical sort of guy as well, from what I've read about him as an author. After he wrote this book in particular, he was feeling quite a prolific author. But once he'd finished, the Hierarchy of Heaven and Earth, the unabridged version, which is like a massive, because he used to do all of his own drawings and his own diagrams by hand. Again, that architectural training, sort of helped him do that, and built 3D models and lots of things like that. After he finished that work, he did write other books, but the other books were very much around practical things, like doing things in a practical way.
Okay.
And he often used to say, "Oh, well, it's not necessary to read the Hierarchy of Heaven and Earth if you're just interested in your spiritual development, because there's practical things that you can be focusing on to help you with that development."
Okay.
But I'm glad I've listened to it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And it goes into a lot of detail, and he almost, his method of analysis is almost like a legal argument. He states a hypothesis and he evaluates it from all these different angles, and in the early part of the book, he has this sort of dualistic approach where he has two characters who are debating, this point of view and that point of view. And so it's almost like a dialogue as it goes along as well. So yeah, no, it's a fascinating way to flesh out a topic in the context of testing his own hypothesis, I guess.
Well, having the say on both sides.
Well, but it's also sort of saying, well, here's the argument for, and here's the argument against, and this is, where I've landed on the issue. So, which is an interesting approach, because outside of law, there's probably not too many things that do that, is there? Really? I mean, I suppose science does it to a degree, but but just doing it in a very objective way. So well, here's the argument for this point of view, and here's the argument against it, and and this is why I think it is what it is. So,
right.
Yeah. But it's definitely a lifetime of work, though, he's put into it. That's for sure.
Yeah. When did he die?
I think it was in the 1980s, 1990s, somewhere around there.
So it's been around a long time. Yeah.
I think he originally finished it probably just post World War II, I think.
Okay.
The introduction to the book was actually written by C.S. Lewis.
Oh, that's yeah.
And he often cites him throughout the book in different parts and so on. So
Yeah. Okay.
But no, I've really enjoyed it actually. It's been very thought-provoking and insightful in the sense of seeing things from different perspectives, So.
Yeah. So what's your next book or topic or
Uh,
category?
I haven't gone into it too far. It'll just emerge when it's time to pick another book. Whatever needs to be there will show up. So.
Yeah.
But I've been quite motivated to do some creative stuff again. So.
With your hands or your head?
Well, a bit of both. You can't separate them.
Well, what I really mean is, are you going to be writing or are you going to be making things with your hands?
Oh no, probably. Well, that's a good question actually, because my inclination is to make things with my hands, but then write about it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, and the simplest form of writing could be, so this is how I did it and why I did it. But it could also go beyond that as well.
Yeah, especially in the light of the book that you've just listened to.
Yeah.
I think you've probably got deep insight into the things that you make and the things that you restore.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So yeah.
So maybe you, after 40 years of your death, will have somebody reading your stories, saying, yeah, 40 years ago, Don Jones said this.
What a nutcase he was.
Yeah.
So are you doing much for Christmas? You got big plans or anything, or not at this stage? Or?
No, we Christmas Day is on Saturday, so we work with our classes up until Friday, and then we start again on Monday, and we leaving it open. We don't know what the daughter-in-law is doing.
So the Monday will probably be Boxing Day for North America, though, won't it? So.
Yeah, I guess in South Africa as well it is. But do they celebrate on Boxing Day here, Australia?
Oh, just by
Is it a
cricket.
holiday? Is it a holiday? That's what I
Yeah,
mean.
it's a holiday. Yeah, you always got the Boxing Day test, the cricket.
Yeah,
But,
I thought that was South African. Okay. Yeah.
No, that's very much
It's a British thing, I think. Yes.
Yeah, well, that's where it probably started from.
Yeah. So no, haven't. And you? What about yourself?
On Christmas Day, I'll go and spend some time with Matthew and his family. I think my brother's going over there as well, so that should be nice.
Okay, great.
Yeah, good to catch up. But yeah, I've got a few days off just because Saturday, Sunday is Christmas Day, Boxing Day, but the holidays are Monday, Tuesday. So, and I might take another day, so like get 5 days off, maybe.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And can your mother leave the home to go have a lunch or something?
Yeah, she can. I went and saw her today, and she was away with the fairies today. That's for sure.
Okay. Yeah.
It was sort of funny. I mean, like she sits there and she talks and talks and talks and talks and talks, but it's all just a one-way conversation.
But does it make sense? Is there all?
No, it doesn't make sense at all. No.
Okay. All right.
Like some of it there, she says she's talking away and she's talking about this garden. I says, where is this garden? And she looks at me and says, what are you talking about? I said, this garden you're just talking about, where is it? Oh, well, it's over in Perth. I had to catch a train to go there. Oh, so when did you go there? Oh, just the other day. So, okay. And she says the garden's up high and you look down this path and you can see right down into Perth. And
yeah, that's King's Park,
Oh, is it? There is.
Yes, it's very high up. Yeah, it's right on top of Perth. Beautiful park, and you look down onto Perth. Yeah.
Oh well,
she's been there.
Must have done an astral trip or something.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. It probably was an astral trip.
And she kept on saying, "Oh, then there's this sort of path, and they wanted me to go down this path, but I wasn't. I'm not sure, and you can't really trust them, you know." And so I told them I wasn't going to go down the path because I couldn't see where it was going to. I said, "Okay."
So, yeah, it could have been in her dreams, but you know, traveled there because there are paths, and there is one that sort of goes down the side and then goes over quite a pedestrian bridge, very ornate, and but you know, there's a big drop on either side.
Well, that's interesting because I was almost interpreting it was like, you know, the call to go home, you know, like here's the path, follow the path, and
you know,
let go of that and proceed down the path. But
oh, I see. Yeah, could be that too.
But I had no idea there was a park over in Perth like that. So.
Yeah.
So maybe she's been on a broom at night time or something. I don't know. So.
No, she's been traveling. Yeah. So ask her for more detail next time.
Yeah, I will. Yeah. But even the way that she was describing it sounds like it's exactly what's there, you know.
Yeah. And you not only do you look down over Perth and so on, but then you also look down over the Swan River, and there's also you look down on top of a very old brewery that's right on the river as well, just before you get into Perth. And yeah, it's I don't know how big the whole thing is, but it's almost like a whole mountain top, you know, and sides.
Okay.
So it's pretty large, and
isn't it interesting?
Yeah. It takes us about, I guess, 30 minutes from where we're living to drive there, okay, and get there. We've done it a couple of times, and yeah, you've just given me an idea. Only problem is in summer, like Christmas time, it's just so flicking hot. And then, of course, you know, everybody gets out at the same time on a Saturday or a Sunday, and so it becomes very crowded. When we go to any of these sort of locations, we like to go during the week, during working hours, you know, so that we can enjoy the tranquility of a particular environment.
Yeah, it's been so wet over here too. You know, like we've had really, well, last night we had this huge storm come through.
Okay.
But yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if we have floods again this summer. Like parts of Queensland are flooded already, but it wouldn't surprise me if this wet weather continues that we have floods this year. So
goodness me, yeah. Now, but you had rain in winter as well, didn't you?
Well, it was more like a green drought, though. You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because like I say, your rainfall is actually summertime, isn't
it? Yeah. Sort of almost like a semi-monsoon.
Yeah.
You know, because with the cyclones up in North Queensland, whenever they eventuate, and they typically turn into a rain depression and drift south. You know, so. So it's normally the aftermath of the cyclones, but this year has just been, you know, days and days of rain. You know. So,
yeah.
And heavy rain too.
Yeah. Like we get in winter.
Yeah, so we could be in for a very wet summer, I'm thinking, but anyway.
Yeah. Well, that'll hopefully stop the fires.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I don't think we'll burn this summer.
Yeah.
Unless it all grows like mad and then dies off.
Yeah. Ours is all dying off now, you see, because we haven't had rain now. We're heading into the proper summer now. The days are, you know, getting close to the 40s regularly, day after day. And,
Yeah. So is that when you get the winds off the deserts? Is it like are they from the east?
it varies literally day by day. About a day ago, we had going up to, let's say, 35 degrees, and yet clearly the wind was coming off the sea. Okay,
Oh,
because
wow.
there was just like a very cool breeze, not a cloud in the sky, hot as hell. The temperature gauges said 35 or 38, but it was chilly. When you went for a walk, it was actually chilly on the skin.
Wow, that's strange, isn't it?
So yeah, it was. So that definitely wasn't coming off the desert, but normally yes, it would come off the desert, and that just makes it unbearably hot.
I think that's what happens a lot in Adelaide. They get the winds off the deserts there,
Mm.
and they've had, like 30 and 40 days of, plus 40 degrees or something there. Quite it's not
Yeah.
unusual. But they also then, like if the wind swings around and comes off the ocean,
Mm.
like the temperature can drop like, 10 or 15 degrees in an hour, so
Sure.
yeah, very strange.
Have you been to Tasmania?
Yeah, I love it down there. I'd
Okay.
move down there in a heartbeat, actually.
Yeah, I've just researched it for a class, okay, for one of my Christmas destinations. I just, Sue said, "What about Tasmania?" I said, "Done." Okay. And so I learned a little bit about it, and I thought, that's a quaint island, and it sounds like a nice little Hobart had been the capital. It's quite far south as far as capitals are concerned. Yeah.
Well, it is. It's probably got a similar climate to England, actually.
Okay. Yeah. I thought you were going to say New Zealand. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're probably New Zealand as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there's quite often, they climate-wise, like London sort of weather.
Yeah.
So it's cold. Although, like, there's a mountain in the middle of Hobart, or just to the north of Hobart, called Mount Wellington. Or there's also an indigenous name for it now.
Yeah.
And
Mount Wellington, I saw. Yeah.
yeah, and it's not unusual to snow on that mountain in summer. So
Okay. Yeah.
and you can drive to the top of it. So
Yeah. There's also an unusual private museum or something called Mono, Mono.
yeah, yeah. Um,
Seems
MONA, the Museum of
uh,
Modern Art.
could be. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
guy who owns it is a most unusual guy. He's a
Yes, apparently so. Yeah.
professional gambler. That's where
That's
he
right.
gets money.
That's right. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they have a festival that he sponsors or has sponsored in the past, which runs in winter called Dark Mofo.
Okay.
And it's quite a dark festival, like they have upside down crosses and they
Okay.
light up buildings in red, and they have a big nude swim down by the ocean there early one morning, and yeah, it's all sorts of
Yeah.
right out there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I gathered that from, and it's mostly built underground
Mm,
as
mm,
well.
mm.
Because apparently my research told me that there was a building which is a historical monument and protected.
Yeah.
Okay. So he wasn't allowed to build on top or change the house or whatever it was. So he went 3 stories down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But money doesn't seem to be any object for him. So he seems to
No.
spend it
Yeah.
profusely. Mm.
But yeah, it seemed like a lovely place, and
Very.
Hobart seemed like a lovely little town.
It
What were
is.
your impression? Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Oh, it's and quite historic by Australian terms, because
Yeah.
that's where some of the first settlements were down there.
Okay.
Very green. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, as I said, I'd move down there in a heartbeat. Yeah.
Yeah. I could certainly as well. Just from the greeny. It's just so. I don't know. The summer is just too hot here, and it's too dry, and it's too brown, and it's you
Yeah.
know You know what I mean? It's just there isn't green around except in my garden.
Right. And the air would be incredibly fresh, you know, and it's so clean and green, and you know, sort of not too many parts of the world left like that, you know. So
right, yeah. Maybe Ireland.
Yeah, I don't know. You get those. You get a lot of the weather comes up from like Antarctica. You know? So you get those Antarctic bursts, and I think the air in that would be very pure, sort of clean.
Yeah.
They've got an advertising campaign on at the moment, like a tourism advertising campaign, and the catchline is "Come down for air."
Yeah. Clever.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So maybe on next Wednesday we can have a one of our discussions about a topic. So maybe you might want to turn your mind to something, perhaps.
Yeah. Give me some ideas. What do you?
No, it's up
Come
to
on.
you.
What topic you want to talk about? Come on.
Well, you send a link through. I see Moya's on the air a bit. So why don't you talk about something, one of his topics or something? So.
Logos topic. Yeah, sure. Yeah, we can do that. Did you listen to him?
I haven't as yet. No, I've got it on my to-do list.
Okay. Oh, it's short. And he says he's going to continue doing very short things. He was just sort of telling you what is going to happen.
I noticed that Guru made a big announcement there too in the last days. He's launched this international. He's got a term for it. It's like a campaign, but it's basically save the soil.
Okay.
He's saying that the soil, the way it's currently in many countries, has got a lifespan of about 60 years left in it, and he wants a concerted, conscious planet. He calls it conscious planet to reinvigorate the soils.
And that's interesting because I started a class at the beginning of December called soil compost and fertilizer, and the regeneration came in somewhere as well. So yeah, that's interesting. That's strange for a guru or a prophet or somebody to.
Yeah, I guess. Well, it isn't it? I guess. Like he often says that, like we're from the soil and we go back to the soil. So, and I think he often refers to the soil as the mother. So, but I think the soils have been depleted. I don't think there's through modern farming techniques and erosion and pollution and all sorts of things. So,
yeah. So why don't you talk about that, or talk about something of Sadhguru, and I'll talk about something from where?
Okay.
And we'll just take it, whatever topic it is.
So you can do 40 minutes and I'll do 20.
No, I don't think so. Somehow doesn't seem to be a balance there. The two opposites. Got to balance each other out.
Oh, okay. Democracy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very good. Okay, well, let's do that.
All right, let's do that. I agree with you. And so we'll then see you through the window. We'll see you on Wednesday.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Sounds good. Okay, then. Take care.
Okay. Cheers, man. Bye.